Okay, good evening. Welcome back to Sports Nation Live. I'm Alex Raby, working with Kevin Williams on the other side of the glass. We'll be talking some basketball now, the NBA, as it's in the playoff mood with Mike Roach. Now, Fred Van Vliet scored 29 points as the Houston Rockets beat the Golden State Warriors 115 to 107 to level their NBA playoff first-round series at 3-3 and force the deciding Game 7. Experienced point guard Van Vliet starred for the Rockets, adding 8 assists and 8 rebounds to his points haul, while Alperen Sengun recorded a double-double with 21 points and 14 rebounds. As I said earlier, we are joined by broadcast assistant for the Toronto Raptors, Mike Roach. Mike, good evening. Welcome to the show.
Good evening. Thanks for having me, Alric.
It's my pleasure. It's been a long time. How you been?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you. I was wondering what was going on. You guys just dashed me away or something? What happened?
No, nothing like that. We realize that you're rich and we're not in your sphere, so we can't call you. But no, we have been following. I have been following, especially your podcast, and I see you have to mix it up a bit. You no longer speak only basketball on the podcast, but you're doing politics and stuff. What's it like on your podcast now?
Yeah, you're right. I had to mix it up a little bit just because there are so many important things that are going on in the world, and I wanted to just kind of diversify the portfolio a little bit. And, you kind of want to keep people updated, whether it's politics, culture, sports, and beyond. So many people like many different things. So I just didn't want it to be one thing. You know what I mean?
Right. And how has the reception been with the change?
It's good. It's good. Like my bread and butter will always be sports and basketball. And so, a large majority of my audience still recognizes me mostly for that. But the transition has been good. I've been getting a lot of good feedback, and people do want to hear me speak a lot more about politics as well, just because we just went through a very big election in Canada, and there's a lot of change coming, and so people want to be informed. But it's been good. It's been good.
Right. Remind us of your podcast.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Remind us of your podcast.
Oh, so it is the Mike Roach Podcast. And before I was previously just on Spotify and Apple, but now it is also on YouTube, so you can get the visual as well.
Okay. So, let's jump into the meat of the matter why we invited you, the NBA. Well, before we go into the games, Greg Popovich stepped down as Spurs head coach after 29 years. What do you think of his legacy and his decision to step down? Did it come as a surprise, or the fact that he is recovering from a mild stroke from November? You sort of expected it.
I did kind of expect it. It's sad to see him go. I think Greg Popovich is one of those coaches where he is arguably one of the best coaches in NBA history, but I think it's even larger than that at this point. I think he could be recognized as one of the best coaches in sports history altogether. When you see this man's resume, what he was able to accomplish, 5 championships, a bunch of Hall of Fame players underneath him, and then the amount of coaches that have gone on to take on their own team and be lead assistants and all those things, even in the WNBA, Greg Popovich has a really, really good legacy underneath him. And I am happy that he is kind of stepping aside just because of the health scares. He is still going to be a part of the organization, still in a vital way. But I do want to see him take care of his health first and foremost. And I mean, when you're traveling from city to city and you're on the sideline and the blood pressure is going up, I mean, it is a lot. It is a lot to deal with. He's getting older as well. His wife passed away not too long ago as well. And I don't really think he took that much time for himself. So I'm glad to see him right now just kind of prioritizing his health and taking a step back, even though he will still be really involved with the organization.
What do you think is his legacy to the sport of basketball? He hasn't completely stepped aside, but what's his legacy so far?
Well, I think it's a few different things. First of all, the way that he communicates with his players is everybody has to be accountable. And I think that is one thing that all coaches can take from him. He didn't treat players differently They all got the same treatment, whether you were Tim Duncan or Ginobili or the last guy on the bench. If you messed up, you were going to be held accountable. And that is one thing that I recognize with Greg Popovich above everything. And Greg Popovich had a culture where if you didn't respect the game, if you didn't respect the culture, if you didn't give 100% when you were on the court, you couldn't be a part of that organization. You could not be a part of it. It didn't matter how good the team was. It didn't matter how bad the team was. Greg Popovich had teams and players that understood that they have to give everything that they have when they play for him and that organization. And I think that is his legacy. He always got the best out of his players and his staff.
Right. He was inducted in the NBA Hall of Fame in 2023. Tell me, rightfully so, but tell me, you think he should have been inducted earlier?
I think so. I probably think. I mean, it's no question. I mean, first ballot Hall of Famer. This guy is it's unquestionable. I mean, without a doubt, for sure.
Right. Okay. So let's get into the games. Let's start with the game that I mentioned earlier, the Rocket Warriors game. They beat the Warriors to tie up that series 3-3. When you look at these two teams, it seems like youth against experience. Is that what you're seeing?
That is what I'm seeing. It is what I'm seeing. And, you know, Golden State still has a good team, but the Rockets have a pretty darn good team as well. They have a lot of young guys. And what they did is that they tied it in and mixed it in with some guys with experience, which is really nice to see, right? I mean, you mentioned Fred VanVleet and the way that he's been playing. And then you have another young bull in Dylan Brooks who can play on both sides of the ball. The one question mark that we have, because he's been very up and down, has been Jalen Green. Now, if Jalen Green in Game 7 can come out with any type of consistency, and not just from three-point range, if he can get to the basket, be aggressive, get to the free throw line, and just put pressure on the defense to, you know, make them at least respect his jump shot. If he can break down and even distribute to his teammates, I mean, it'll make a huge difference with what they're doing in that game plan. Amen Thompson is another guy. Tari Eason is another guy. These guys have players. Jabari Smith has been playing really well, coming off the bench, making threes for them. Houston has the pieces to be able to go up against Golden State. Now, Game 7 is going to be tricky because it is going to be an experience thing. Like Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler are going to be nothing to sneeze at in Game 7. We have seen this before. They have been here many times, and they're not going to be afraid, even if they're playing in Houston. Steph Curry, we all know, this is the best shooter on God's green earth that we have ever seen. He's going to be ready for the moment, and so will Jimmy Butler. I can't say the same for these guys on Houston. Very good team. And can they win? Absolutely. But it's hard to bet against Curry and Butler, and Draymond Green, you know, from a defensive standpoint, is going to turn it up.
Right. There was a time when the LA Lakers were being characterized as a senior citizen group because of the age of the players. Are you concerned that this Warriors team is falling into that category, and the fact that they are going up against some young players, the youth will win out over experience?
Well, I wouldn't say they're in that senior citizens category yet. You know, not far away, but they're not exactly there yet. These are players on the Golden State Warriors that are more than capable, and they have some youth that they've actually tied into these veterans as well. Steph Curry, yes, he's getting older, but he's still balling. Jimmy Butler as well. I mentioned to you about Draymond Green, but they do still have other pieces that can do a lot of things, make shots, play, defend, get up and down the court quickly. They have guys who can make some noise alongside those three. So, yes, they are getting older, but you better believe that they can still compete.
Right. And the Timberwolves, they would have beaten the LA Lakers 4-1 in their series, prompting LeBron James, from report I've seen, to say he's not sure of his playing status now that the season is finished. Tell me your thoughts on this Timberwolves team. Do they have the goods to go all the way?
I don't know if they have the goods to go all the way. I think they can. I believe they're good enough to get to the conference finals. I believe that. But I'm not sure they have exactly enough to go up against the likes of Oklahoma City. You know, Oklahoma City to me is the team to beat in the Western Conference. Now, the Minnesota Timberwolves, I mean, don't get it twisted. They can definitely play. I mean, when you look at a stud like Anthony Edwards, the guy can do it all. Can defend, can shoot. Can defend, can shoot, can get to the basket, can make clutch shots, can handle the ball, will pass it out, find the open man. It's the other guys that I'm worried about. Like the bench, you have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. The bench is a question for me. Naz Reid is coming off and it's good, but do they have enough? Like to me, Rudy Gobert played amazing. One of the best, probably the best game of his career in that Game 5 against the LA Lakers. How consistently can he do that? I'm not sure how consistent he can do that. And going up against the Lakers didn't have any bigs on the floor. That was when they start going up against these other teams. I mean, Golden State, if they happen to make it through, they don't have many bigs either. But if you end up against a team like the Clippers, Denver, Oklahoma City, those teams do have bigs, and not just bigs who are slow and can't move. They're mobile. They can defend. They can run the floor. Those are the questions I have on if those bigs can handle that for Minnesota. Randall is good. Randall is rough. He's tough. He can shoot it from the outside, and I like him. But overall, I'm just wondering from a depth standpoint, because those other teams, they have a bit of depth. And I'm not sure Minnesota has enough to go up against those other teams. You're going to need a superhuman performance from Anthony Edwards. And we have seen him at times struggle a little bit, and he does make it up by doing other things. But we're going to have to see him drop, 30-point games consistently if he's going to want to get to that next level and go all the way.
Let's look at that losing team in that series, Los Angeles Lakers, going down 4-1. Did you see even if you see them losing, did you see them losing 4-1 against this Minnesota team? Especially with that surprise trade that they had earlier in the season.
I saw them losing in 6 games, to be quite honest with you. But, as we went through game 1 and game 2, it was more apparent to me that the Lakers were not going to do very well in this series because they just can't defend very well. Like, they don't have anybody in the middle. They have no anchor on defense. And the perimeter defense isn't really good enough to keep anybody outside of the lane, at least consistently. Luka Doncic is a really good player. But towards the end of the season, watching some of these Lakers games, he cannot keep anybody in front of him. And even when he's not the primary defender, from a weak side, help side standpoint, still not very good defending at all either. And so it was apparent to me that the Lakers were going to have a lot of trouble in regards to their defense. LeBron James, as good as he is, at the age of 40, he can't do it all anymore. And he's going to need help. There are times where he's going to have to find times during the game when he's on the court to take a rest. He's going to have to find ways to rest while he's playing, not just sitting on the bench. And they're just, the Lakers right now, I mean, you asked the right question in regards to LeBron James and his future. I don't know what's going to happen at this point because I'm not sure that players really want to play with LeBron James anymore. Really good players in this league, I don't think they want to play with LeBron anymore. And that's not a knock. That's not a knock. I just think that he's past that point in his career. And if the Lakers and LeBron James, in my opinion, knew what was good for the both of them, I think it's probably about time that they part ways. Build around Luka Doncic. He's the new young guy in town.
So I'm figuring that's why they made that trade so late in the night when they brought him into Lakers. They would have seen the writing on the wall that James is on his way out.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm pretty sure that they thought they would compete farther than just the first round, but the fashion in which you lost at the same time is also a problem. I mean, 4-1, just an absolute beatdown when you were the higher seeded team as well.
Right.
Just not a good look. And to be completely honest with you, LeBron James, this would be the perfect time for him to go. Because to me, if you can't get any free agents there, you're not going to win with rookies. And so right now would be the perfect time for him to say, well, listen, I can opt out. You guys brought in Luka Doncic for a reason. He's the new young kid in town, the superstar. You guys can go build around him and maybe you'll get free agents. And I think at this point, it's time for LeBron James to go.
So, like I said, you wouldn't be surprised if you hear a press conference or a press release or on social media that he has decided to step away, especially what he has achieved on the court and the fact that he got to play with his son in an NBA game. I mean, there's nothing else left for him to do.
Well, I mean, what he's accomplished is amazing. 22 years, one of the greatest players you're ever going to see. And like you just mentioned, him playing now with his son on the team. I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because it does bring a question, right? Like, he got his son a 4-year deal, brings him into that roster as well under JJ Redick and the organization. But if he leaves, does he want his son to be with him as well? What happens to Bronny James in that situation? I'm not 100% sure. And when they traded for Luka Doncic, I'm pretty sure they knew and understood that they most likely would not win in the first season that he was here. But to me, at this point, I don't really think, some people may think they're close. I don't really think they're that close to winning. You're going to need pieces. You can't just get any rinky-dink center and think that your team is going to be exponentially better because you have, some little decent center. You're really going to need guys that can play. Because when I think about the Western Conference, forget about the East. Forget about even getting to the finals at this point, Alric. You got to think, you're not better than the Clippers, in my opinion. You're not better than Denver. You're not better than Oklahoma City. Arguably not better than Golden State, Houston, Minnesota. It's going to be tough. There's a lot of good teams in the Western Conference. You look at a team like Dallas, if they're healthy as well, AD, Kyrie, back, healthy, along with Gafford and Lively and Klay Thompson. There's going to be a lot of good teams again next season. So unless, like I mentioned, the Lakers can get some type of free agent, I really don't know how far they're going to go with this tandem again. I think I think right now is a good time. I don't think you want to waste another year and wait too long if you're LeBron James. You don't know when you're going to retire at this point. Maybe he does. But you're going to have to evaluate pretty much after every season at this point.
Right. Let's look at the Knicks. They would have see off the Detroit Pistons 4-2 in their series. How much of a contender are they?
The Knicks are good. The Knicks are really good. They're going to be going up against the Boston Celtics. That's going to be a hell of a series. Really, really good series. The Knicks are tough. They have some grit. That's the kind of coach that Tom Thibodeau is, and that's the kind of point guard that they have. They have some really good defensive players when you look at Bridges and OG Anunoby. They have offensive firepower as well. They're going to be good. I don't think they can beat the Boston Celtics. Like, to me, if I had to give you a percentage out of 100, maybe 40%, maybe a 40% chance I would give them. But the Boston Celtics are just really, really loaded. Can the Knicks beat the Boston Celtics? Maybe, but I don't think it's likely. They can, though. They can. I won't completely dismiss them and rule them out. Jalen Brunson. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was saying Jalen Brunson, he's a bull, but he's banged up. And I'm pretty sure the Boston Celtics are going to be extremely physical with him. And because of that, you're going to need to see some more offensive production from Karl Anthony Towns, OG Anunoby, and especially Mikal Bridges. They're not going to be able to just lean on Jalen Brunson for this one because Boston has a lot of versatile defensive players. And they have another guy, in Peyton Pritchard, who's really annoying. He can agitate you. They're probably going to try to wear Brunson out 94 feet and pick him up full court and wear him down that way. And they're going to need Jalen Brunson to have at least a little bit of his legs in the last few minutes of the game because he is that clutch player. He is that guy. He is very clutch. He can make shots. We saw what he did in the first round, and they're going to have to do this by committee. You can't just lean all on Jalen Brunson to get by the Boston Celtics here.
Right. And one of the more controversial series, the last game, that is, the Milwaukee Bucks series against Indiana Pacers, that confrontation with Antetokounmpo and the father of Haliburton. What you make of that? I mean, watching sports, basketball is the only sport I see with that phenomenon where the fans are allowed to invade the court at the end of the game, mixing up with the players. It doesn't happen in football. It doesn't happen in cricket. It doesn't happen in several other sports that I've watched, not even track and field. But basketball, the fans are like right on the court.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the game, they invaded. I mean, what about all the safety concerns? I mean, fans tend to be just as into the game and as invested in the game as the players. What are the safety concerns? You see, it wasn't anything major. It was the father of Haliburton in the face of Antetokounmpo, who had just lost the game. His emotion would have been high as well. It could have gone south easily. What are some of the safety concerns that the NBA has in regards to that? It has always puzzled me the way that they allowed fans to invade the court.
Well, Alric, you're asking a really good question here. And, the NBA, to a certain degree, is going to have to make an example out of Tyrese Haliburton's father because it's true what you're saying. It's extremely dangerous. That could have gone really, really bad. If it wasn't Giannis Antetokounmpo, a guy who can control himself, if that was another player and that player ran upon Haliburton's father and punched him in the face or choked him or something like that, that would have been horrific for the NBA. The NBA cannot allow this. They cannot allow this. They got to keep, and the thing is that sometimes I believe there's a rule where family members can come on the court. I could be wrong, but I think I'm right, where family members can come on the court, which is why I believe that the security in Indiana didn't stop him because they knew it was Haliburton's father. But they can't allow this. This was not good. this was not good at all. That could have gone very, very bad. It did go bad, but things could have gotten even worse. And they did come out, and I know he apologized to the Pacers organization, the Bucks, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, but the NBA is going to have to make sure that this never happens again. And subsequently after, he has now been pretty much banned from the Pacers home games. He won't be on the road games either, going to see his son. I don't know what he was thinking. I know that he was happy, understandably so, seeing his son make the game-winning shot, but it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable because that is a situation that could put many, many people in a very bad spot, a dangerous spot, and something could have happened and put a very, very dark scene or bad light on the NBA. They have to make an example that cannot happen again.
Right, but the Pacers did beat the Bucks and advance. Are they a team that can contend for the title?
I think,
or at least reach the final.
I think Cleveland can. Not so sure about Indiana. Indiana is good though. I like both of these teams. I think it's a really good matchup. Both of them have depth. Both of them have, I mean, when you look at Haliburton and Miles and Siakam, they have a lot of guys on that team. And the same thing with Donovan Mitchell. And I mean, they just have a lot of guys on both of these teams with depth. I mean, Evan Mobley, Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, there's going to be a lot of defense on the side of the Cleveland Cavaliers and a lot of offense on the side of the Indiana Pacers. I think they're an evenly matched team, but I think Cleveland does have a bit more firepower offensively. I do like the way that the Pacers can get up and down, shoot a lot of three-point shots. They can break down defenses with some of the players that they have on that team. It's going to be a really fun matchup, a really good matchup. I would take the Cleveland Cavaliers in this series, just because Garland is absolute stud. He's going to keep Haliburton on his toes. And from a defensive standpoint, Jared Allen and Mobley, just two really long, tall bigs for Cleveland. And then you look at DeAndre Hunter as well, who's a long, active defender that they bring off that bench. Just a lot of depth, good basketball all season long from the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think towards the end of the season, the Indiana Pacers started looking a lot better. And it was a tough break for the Milwaukee Bucks losing Damian Lillard. And, shout out to him. He did make a comeback and then went down with a pretty bad injury after that. But, I mean, it's tough for the Milwaukee Bucks. But overall, this is a really, really intriguing series, and I think it's going to be a really good one.
Okay, Mike, thanks much for dropping by and sharing your thoughts with us. We wish you all the best. And I'll continue to follow your podcast and listen to your views and the views of your guests.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me, Alric.
My pleasure.